Welcome everyone to another episode of Life is About More Than Living. I'm going to adjust the lighting here a little bit. Yeah, I like that better. Tonight's guest, actually I met her at a business event, an entrepreneur event. And Anna Bloodworth will tell you her story. She will tell you the story of Echo. She will tell you how she got her entrepreneur journey. And hopefully she will leave you inspired to step into the unknown that you may be desirous of doing so, desire to do yourself. For being an entrepreneur, every day you step into something unknown. Being a business owner, you step into something unknown, and you don't know if you're successful or not. Like me with this podcast, I've been in it for so many years. It's my go-to thing. Please support this podcast. Life is about more than living by becoming a subscriber to it wherever you listen to podcasts at, whether that be on Spotify, whether that be on Apple Podcasts, whether that be in Google Podcasts, whether that be on iHeartRadio, wherever you receive your podcast from, please subscribe to it. And definitely go to YouTube and subscribe to become a YouTube subscriber so you can get the reels and the outtakes from the podcast and find that thing which may speak to your heart more than the whole episode did. Now let's bring Anna on to the show. Let's welcome Anna Bloodworth.
Thank you so
Anna, welcome
much.
to our show. How are you? Again,
Mhm.
uh, giving me a reason to get excited. I'm always excited like this, especially today. But as I said on camera, this is your time to tell your story, your journey. And I invite those who click in, whether it's on Facebook, whether it's on YouTube, don't just click back off and go away because what you heard didn't catch your ears and hit your heart. Stay with the show. There's always something there, a nugget there for each and every one that comes up here. Um, so just stay. I would say what's on this journey. I went and chose a quote, which I thought had included up here, and I'm looking for my quote now. Oh yeah, the quote is this: "The entrepreneur always searches for change, responds to it,
Mm,
and exploits it as an opportunity." Peter Drucker, American businessman. I'm still searching for change,
mhm.
responding to it, and I'm sure it's going to explode it in 2026 because I don't want to be another broke entrepreneur going into this year. And I laugh about it because the broke times are the times it's hardest to stay in the game. But this is not my story tonight. This is Anna's story. And I did mistype her name in the bio, but I will correct that later. So Anna, what is your story exactly? Without these people have to read all that lengthy content.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me, first of all. And I
You're
want to
more than
say
welcome.
that it's been several journeys, and I'll start with where I'm at right now and maybe work backwards and then forwards again and maybe some dancing in between. Um
Yeah, we've had people actually play guitar in the show, so dancing will be an added thing.
yeah, right?
Yeah.
So, my full-time job is I'm a residential single family property manager.
Hmm.
And that's my full-time gig. And I've been doing that for about 8 years. And it's awesome. And I'm a 1099. So I'm a definitely an entrepreneur in that game. And before I did this job, I was a hairstylist for about 20 years.
Hmm.
And the reason that I got into the job I'm in now is because I was a single parent raising two small children.
Hmm.
After a marriage that was just not a good fit for myself and my children. And I needed a job that paid more and that had more flexibility and more opportunity for growth. And so, like you said, I looked around at what am I good at? What can I learn to do relatively quickly? And it's not going to cost me another like $40,000. And I did some research and sat down with a piece of paper and I said, okay, what's out there? And I chose real estate. And I just kept on growing and amassing a different skill set. And every time I would hit a roadblock within my career, I would, instead of faltering and saying I can't do this, I would say, what can I learn from this? Where can I
Hmm.
grow from here? And I just kept doing that over and over. And so that worked really well for my professional life. And in real estate, I chose property management because it allowed me to really apply all the skills that I had grown. So I went to Wake Tech and did 2 years of construction management
Mm-hmm.
because I was unhappy that real estate school, I don't know if any people really know this or not, but when you go to real estate school, they don't teach you anything about a house.
Oh wow! Oh
Yeah.
wow!
Yes.
Wow!
So big news flash that when you get your real estate license, when you get out, um, you know, you know stuff about contracts and how you can get sued, but you really know nothing about how a house works, how it's built, what to look for, what's important about the structure of a home, and what to tell people about what to look for and what to buy and not to buy. And I just found that incredibly concerning.
Mm-hmm.
And I've found it to be really disingenuous to tell people that I knew what I was talking about. I just felt like a big liar.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't sit right with me. Um, so I went back to school at Wake Tech and I did construction management, not necessarily because I wanted to be a construction manager, but because I wanted to learn about why do you build a house this way? What should you look for if a house is poorly built? What should you look for in the foundation? What should you look for in the framing? What kind of problems should you look for? So I just love to learn, and I love to take that information and apply it. So in my job, I take that information when I go to inspections, and I look for, hey, here's cracks in the foundation, and then I take the information from the tenant, and they tell me, hey, these doors aren't latching, well, they're not closing. Hey, you know what? I saw the cracks in the foundation. Doors aren't latching. That means we need to call a structural engineer. So it levels me up. It allows me to be a better resource for my owners because I know more. And yeah, just a better all around at my job. So I'm currently in like week 6 of Hope Renovations, which is another great local organization.
Mm-hmm.
They have a program called the Trades Training Program. So I'm actually learning how to do this work. I'm learning how to do
Wow!
framing. Yeah, today
Wow!
I built a floor frame today.
Wow!
Yeah, so
Wow!
I just
So
really want to.
you're really trying not just to be an entrepreneur slash working with someone else, which is still the same thing in 1099 form. Like I did one of my most of my gigs, except for now I work for Sam Club, so that's a regular job.
Yeah.
uh, but the thing is, I'm here. Well, if I'm hearing from you, it's the same thing. I started out, unbeknownst to myself at the time, doing when it came to poetry and doing open mics and doing writing workshops. Unlike it, while other people going to school to learn it, I went to the events and studied the event. I studied how the people open the event, how to close the event. I met with as many individuals as I could. I let them tell me in general conversation, just feel from the gut, while they're actually being interviewed, not knowing it. Like, yeah, that was great, but how'd you get them to do this and that? So my turn came, when I decided to launch a writers group, I had a foundation. I understood the foundation beyond the stage. I'm like,
Mm.
I know how to bring people together. How do I bring people together and guide them to a certain place and help them? And they asked me, do you have a degree? I said, my degree was I studied the processes by being in the process. I was at the mic for 3 to 7 minutes. Then I was at the table with a beer in my hand, networking and talking to those that have been in the game, getting a free education. Uh, different story, but similar process. It's easy to sell something if you learn it from a book. It's a difference to sell something if you learn it hands on. That's all I'm
Yes.
trying to say.
No.
It's sort of
Complete.
go ahead. I'm good.
Yeah,
Am I
totally.
5 minutes of rambling?
No, no. I appreciate your sharing your story because I'll go backwards a little bit now.
Yeah.
Um, I I got a degree in business and corporate communications from Elon, but I'm gonna be
Hmm.
honest with you, it doesn't mean anything for a couple reasons. Um, because that was back before people were really using computers a lot. I'm
Hmm.
51.
Hmm.
So when I was at Elon, I had a word processor in my dorm room. I'm gonna be
Wow.
straight. We didn't have
Yeah.
cell phones. We didn't have
I get it.
computers.
I get it. I had a cell phone
Yeah,
with antenna on it. And you flip
yeah,
it up, and you had to pay for minutes and all that stuff. It
yeah.
was
Oh, I
then
didn't
you
even have
dial
that.
up. Well, you
We had a
dial up.
phone. Yeah, we had a landline. So when people
I did
say,
that too. You're
yeah,
right.
it's a degree that I got because I felt like I should get it to be relevant due to low self-worth, right?
Mm,
And I
mhm,
think that a lot of people probably do things because they feel like they should. And
mhm,
I get it. And I ended up with a very expensive lesson that I'm still
mm,
paying for. And there's
mm,
a lot of people in America that have degrees that they paid for that yes, it was an experience, but they may well could have gotten similar experiences if they felt like that was something that would have been okay for them to do out in the real world, right?
mhm.
And
Or
so,
like you said, you go to real estate. According to what you share with us, you go to real estate school. You get the lessons and the books, and you get the license, and you learn enough. You learn the salesmanship basically, but you don't understand how the house is built.
yep.
It's like here when we got into our home, one of the first things uh, our agent recommended was to get a home inspector because that home inspector knew what the agent didn't know. And yeah, so it's like this guy he comes over here and he takes his drone out and he crawls here and he does all of that, and then he breaks it down in language.
Yeah.
Versus you now, your story, you're able to learn and do all of that yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The agent and the inspector, you need to speak the same language
Hmm.
because the agent needs to be able to read the inspection report and understand how to convey that to the owner in simple language that the owner then understands, hey, this is important and this is something that you're going to need to address, and these things over here, they sound important because the inspector has to say everything in a certain language,
Hmm.
but it's not as big a deal, right?
Yeah, well,
And
in our case, we kind of lucked out in both cases because we were able to get things done, and the guy was so he was so laid back. He was one of these people that I believe never met a stranger.
mm,
So it was like it's just, I remember him so well. He was just so cool because
I love that.
yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
So when I did hair, I
Hmm.
did hair for a long time and I had really gotten away from technology in
Hmm.
doing hair, and which I loved. It was all hands-on, people
Hmm.
just, communicating, relationships. Hair is so much more than hair,
Hmm. It's
But
like a barber shop.
oh,
You build friendships. If you want to
yeah,
get paid, you build friendships.
you know everything about people, but the only downside to that was that for a long time I
Your sound
did.
kind of getting weak though. I can't. There you go.
Is that better?
Yeah, better. Yep.
For Thank you for letting me know. For a long time, I put aside keeping up with my building my technology
Hmm.
skills.
Mm.
So when I first got into real estate, it was a long journey for me to relearn technology skills, and that was another journey for me. So this is just layers of a journey, right?
Hmm.
Um, so then that's my real estate world, and that's
Hmm.
one aspect of my entrepreneurial journey and my personal
Hmm.
journey.
Hmm.
The other side of my journey in life is I'm a angelic Reiki practitioner,
Hmm.
and that's my passion. That's my
Hmm.
heart.
I kind of put that in a little. It was in your journal bio. So for those that know, take a little dive into that for a few moments. For exactly all of that.
Yeah. So I started down the path of angelic Reiki
Hmm.
because I had a personal experience with I wanted to kill myself. I had a very
Hmm.
depressive episode in my life, which I'm sure it's something that a lot of people can relate to, whether they've
Hmm.
told anybody else or not.
Hmm.
But it was terrifying,
Hmm.
and I I didn't have the money for
Hmm.
therapy because it wasn't covered by my insurance, and I had experienced a lot of healing from
Hmm.
going and getting Reiki, but I couldn't even afford to get Reiki like every day like I would need to.
Hmm.
So I reached out to the
Uh,
guy.
Explain to people exactly what Reiki is a little
Oh
bit.
yeah, yeah. Let me back up again.
No
So
problem. We
yeah,
get 45 minutes to an hour, so we're good.
okay, cool. Reiki is energy healing.
Hmm.
So it's the understanding that we're all energy, and
Hmm.
there's energy all around us, and
Hmm.
there's a higher energy than us
Hmm.
as humans, and that we at all times have the power and connection to call on this higher energy
Hmm.
to heal us, to guide us, to support us, to protect us, to transcend this human experience that we're
Hmm.
having. And it doesn't mean that we have to believe in a doctrine, a dogma, a religious text. We don't have to go to a certain church. We don't have to sign anything. It is available to any of us
Hmm.
at all times.
See, this is where a topic area I've been diving into, arguing over, but not addressed publicly a lot, other than share other people's content. Now that I have, and to some people who know me, may say I lied to them, and I lived a lie. But the whole process was that I was a closed door Christian deconstructionist,
Hmm.
closeted Christian deconstructionist. When I walked away from my very structured life as a Jehovah's Witness for 40 some years,
Oh, wow.
I started, and I walked away from the church first. Then I went there. Then I went back into the church, and then I did all I could to get plugged in. Went through the evangelical movement, black, you name it. I went through it instead of tapping into the spirituality of everything that was really connected with it, or as I now refer to it, you refer to as Reiki. I refer to it as simply pure energy.
Yes.
So when people in the church want to say that the church is within you, I'm like, you're saying the same thing that you're denying. You're
Mm.
saying there's an energy within you that's connected to outside of you, but you have to have a label on it to fit into a certain structure. Versus, I'm simply saying what you're saying is within me, and I'm within it. And some days I'm more loving, and some days I'm the hell on wheels. But it's the same positive. It's the same energy. Only difference is I recognize it has all these spectrums. And if I want the
Yeah.
best out of my life, I got to tap into the better parts of it. On this
Yes.
journey, see, I wasn't planning on going on that road tonight because I've been avoiding this topic, even creating content around
Oh,
it. In the sense of, as a deconstructionist, it's easy for me to share what someone else is saying because that means you're now looking at the historical references, the written records, and how certain things are created to manipulate and control.
yeah.
And you start surrendering. It's a hard pill to swallow. You're going to
Hmm.
lose some family, some friends, some associates. But at the end of it, those who have taken that journey are able to do what you're doing through Reiki, as you call it. You know that inner healing. You know that inner power. You in your darkest moment, you can tap into it. Say, you know what? I know you're listening. I know you're paying attention. I know I see the birds out there like the snowstorm that came. I told my wife, said these birds are telling us the weather's changing.
Hmm.
Storm is coming. You learn to identify these markers because the
Hmm.
energy shows you if they're preparing, then why don't you prepare? But I took your show and ran away with a whole different
No,
topic. Go ahead
no,
though.
I love it, and I'm so glad that you shared that, because we're all connected, and I think right
Hmm.
now it's so important to come back to that we're all connected, and that it's just this one powerful source of energetic love and
Hmm.
universal connection, right?
Now let's
And
take that part and go into your universal love, your business and things, and how the people, how you get on that journey. Because you mentioned that your daughter was kind of like part of the catalyst and you connecting to the business journey.
my daughter was part, though, hold on, let me see. I have two daughters.
Okay,
Yeah. Okay, I have a
but you mentioned one.
23-year-old.
Okay.
Well, let's see. My daughter. I have a 23-year-old daughter that's in the Army Reserves, and
Hmm.
then I have a 19-year-old daughter. They both live at home with me. They're
Hmm.
amazing,
Hmm.
and so let me see. Hold on. Let me go backwards. Let's see. So, I got on this journey with the angelic Reiki
Hmm.
because of my suicidal situation,
Mm-hmm.
And when I got trained in a Sui Reiki, I'm gonna back up just a minute so I can collect my thoughts because
You're fine. You're good.
I'm
But
trying to
I'm just gonna
remember.
bring it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when I got trained in a Sui Reiki, which is the first form of, it's like a real gentle, peaceful, traditional Japanese Reiki. I had
Mm-hmm.
so many intuitive, I guess you could call them psychic experiences, like you
Mm-hmm.
said, where all of a sudden I would know who was calling me before they called. I would
Mm-hmm.
know, I would have these knowings about things that were happening,
Mm-hmm.
experiences in nature, just these intuitive knowings.
Mm-hmm.
And then the teacher that taught it, she contacted me and she said, "Hey, I'm doing this angelic Reiki training. That's just another vibration level up. So I want
Mm-hmm.
you to come to that." So I went to that and I got trained, and that's when everything just jumped off the charts. I had the most peaceful, profound, healing. It was like grounded to the earth and nature, and yet connected to all of divine realms of healing and energetic,
Mm-hmm.
profound peace all at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't grow up going to church. I had the opposite experience of you. Um, I really we kind of raised ourselves, my siblings and I. My
Mm-hmm.
parents got divorced when I was young, and my parents both worked all the time, and we grew up on a farm, and we just kind of, when we just what it was, right? We were just kind of raising ourselves. And so in those situations, you don't have, some people look to the church for structure and community, and that can be
Mm-hmm.
great, but it can also provide, it can provide wonderful things, but like you said, it can also be a construct, and it can have some sidebars that aren't as wonderful as well sometimes, that you
Mm-hmm.
don't maybe realize till later in your life. But I had never grown up going to church, so I didn't have any frame of reference. I never had read the
Mm-hmm.
Bible or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And so these knowings and these experiences and these downloads that I was getting from this angelic Reiki training were just so profound that I was like, there's nowhere this is coming from except this connection with this universal
Mm-hmm.
presence.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, it's totally changed my life, and and when I got done with it, I just kept saying, "What am I supposed to do with this?
Mm-hmm.
I want to share this with people." But then I had friends of mine, like you said, you mentioned too. I had friends that were like, "You can't tell people this.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to say you've lost your mind."
Mm-hmm. Here's the other side, though. When people get so, I don't even know, man. Somebody probably studied it, but what I have read different places with business people, especially entrepreneurs, especially entrepreneurs, artists, especially, you go down the list of those what I may call out of the box thinkers that's willing to fall 1,000 times to get back up to
Mhm.
one for the success. They are more spiritual in life than structured in their worship. They may show it for whatever reason around people, but in one-on-one conversations, they're more of this. If they're not in Reiki, they're in Hinduism, they're in
Mhm.
Buddhism, which doesn't even have a God, but people have been told is a God. It's a level of spiritual awakening beyond everything else. But Christianity has to brand something bad to make itself look good. So that's why I'm like, whatever. 'Cause I claim the title, but I'm not that person in that sense. But back to what you're saying, bringing this all together. In business, in all of this, there has to be a level of spirituality and connectivity to be truly
Mhm.
successful. I think what you're saying.
Yeah.
For you, it's Reiki. For someone else, it might be Buddhism. For
Mhm.
Tina Turner, it was. I love my Tina Turner. She's dead and gone. I miss.
Oh.
Sorry, she's gone. She became a Buddhist,
Mhm.
and I just recently found that Buddhism was not about a god. It's about a teaching, a
Mhm.
freedom, a inner peace. Um, so, all being said and said, I I wave it over to your daughter because we met at Echo. I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about Echo because I don't have a
Yeah.
person from Echo here. However, you said that she was in Echo first, which
Oh
fed into
yes.
your entrepreneur spirit, which you now have the energy, I believe, based on what you told the audience, you now have the energy to be more successful because you have that peace that goes along with what's needed. Because being in business can be stressful.
Let me tell you. Well, it, having this connection with something greater than myself
Mm-hmm.
is the biggest and strongest benefit to my life in
Mm-hmm.
the ways, and I'll connect it back to my daughter. It helps me in every aspect of my life. It helps me with things that are so basic, like sending an email, being kind and reflective, being thoughtful and patient with others, being
Mm-hmm.
compassionate and loving and graceful with myself, so that then I in turn am able to have and hold that space for others whenever
Mm-hmm.
they are having a stressful moment. Something that, let's say that an owner is frustrated because their HVAC system is broken and they're going to have to replace it. Well, instead of taking that personally and being stressed out about their response, that's just a human response. They're frustrated. I'm able now to be grounded and peaceful and hold space for whatever comes up for them so that I can then respond in a loving, compassionate, helpful, grounded, and boundaried way. Because being able to have and set clear, respectful, loving boundaries is a form of healthy business
Mm-hmm.
practices,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, and then being able to do that with others, so I can do that with myself first,
Mm-hmm.
do that with my children, and then I do that with business,
Mm-hmm.
and that
Your voice is going out again. There you go.
yeah, being able to do that continuously
Mm-hmm.
is a daily practice that I can tie back to this connection with something greater than myself.
Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
that that I think it reminds me of what I don't like hearing said often, but I know I heard it. There has to be a level. The truly successful people are able to be compassionate and understanding. You can be successful without being compassionate, but have you people relate better and they will talk about you better. They will become your voice when they know that you genuinely care in a certain sort of way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my daughter did Echo first, and that's how I found out about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I wanted more help to try
Mm-hmm.
to understand how to get people to find out about my angelic Reiki business,
Mm-hmm.
because my property management business is takes up a lot of my time. And
Mm-hmm.
so when I would come home at night, I would be by myself and I would think,
Mm-hmm.
how do I how do I share about my angelic Reiki? How
Mm-hmm.
do I share with how healing it is? I don't want to sound salesy. I don't want to sound cheesy. I don't want
Mm-hmm.
to I want to be genuine and just share about how healing it is with people.
Mm-hmm.
How do I do that? I didn't know how to do that and get the message out. And so that's what I went to Echo for. And it's been really helpful to have a community of people that have been there before with their small businesses, and they give me feedback, and I can take classes and ask questions, and I can be vulnerable and raw and
Mm-hmm.
say, I don't know how to do this. I Teach me, help me, point me in the right direction, connect me with people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Makes a big difference. One of the thing right now, I feel like I've been backed up against the wall.
Hmm.
I had a side gig, it fell apart. I had another side gig, it has not materialized like I thought it would, and that's why I mentioned to you, I think off camera. I might have mentioned it on camera. I'm currently working. It's not a bad thing. I'm currently back working retail with Sam Club.
Yeah.
Uh, it's just this is February 9th. I didn't walk away from a regular employer a year ago, February 7th, to end up being back hooked up to another employer
Hmm.
full time where they have a great deal of control over how my movements. And with Sam Club, it can be very unpredictable. Uh,
Mm.
so when I say I feel like I'm backed up against the wall, I think now I really have nowhere else to go but forward.
Hmm.
To get another writers group going, to push my book, which is now split is now 2023 is into year number three of being out there. To push some other things out there to get a. I'm not gonna do a LLC this time. I'm just gonna do a DBA this time. Keep it real simple. Um, and to get out and network, hang out with people in person versus just being familiar on the internet. Or because in the workplace I'm at now, I'm like when I work for this local government, I work with great people. I work around some great people. But one of the couple of individuals have been there since this store opened up in Greensboro 34 years
Wow.
ago. And this is normal for them. They're great people. People been there more than 5 years. It's normal for them.
Mhm.
Uh, and that's just and like I had a conversation mentioning home ownership, which I never was. I was given a glimpse of what it could look like, but I didn't understand because where I was at in the '70s and late early '80s to now be 63. And I mentioned it to one individual. He's like, "Who wants all of that? All that stress and all of this? I just pay rent and I'm good." I'm like, "This is why I cannot be in this environment too long. You're amazing people, but you have no vision of anything beyond this.
Mhm.
You're making just an I think that was Les Brown that says you do good enough job just to not get fired, and you're making just enough to get by. But when you want time off, it's up to them. You want to move, it's up to them. So it's kind of like I said, I'm backed up against the wall. I feel kind of like I'm backed up against the wall. But there's nothing that my wife hasn't said to me because she's like, "You're better than this." And I'm like, "What? Whatever." Because even those of us that have a vision, like he want that change and able to tap in that spirituality and make these movements, we can get stuck.
Yeah.
Normally, I would have uh, paid. I get these alerts about a guest coming on 2 days in advance. That's how my scheduling is set up. And literally did not connect the dots until late last night. That it was like, I got Anna's coming on my show. Who's Anna? I got to do this. I got to do that. I'm like, and there, but the funniest thing though is I can create a show. I can create content for this show, any show within 30 minutes. I don't use
Wow.
AI. I'm old school. You, this show here, I created all the outside of the copy and pasting of your bio. I created all the content, wrote everything up, tagged it, set it up in like 15 minutes this evening.
That's awesome.
So, if those of you who are catching this on LinkedIn, this is a sample of my work because I'm now on LinkedIn as a content creator for short content. So, hit me up. Hit Anna up for what she's doing. Uh, if you got a podcast, whatever, you need a 30-second black. Hit me up. I'll create some short content, 1,000 words or less. Uh, because when I first started doing Life is About More Than Living a Podcast, year number 8 now, I think it is 2018. Yes, year number 8. It would take me an hour longer just to research, study, and create something. I can do it in
Mm.
15 minutes now. Uh, and the technology part is once the show is over, I'll let the technology create AI create some reels from the show. All said and done, though, being able to get people on, get them talking, like Anna's doing, she's sharing so much. And I tempted to go back and change the topic, but I'm not. We about to come back again and talk about Reiki and spirituality again, because I've had people come up here want to talk spirituality and life change, and then they got down to more religious change and structure. And I'm not the one for that. Because if you tell me on one hand God is unconditional love, then I'm gonna ask you now, how does he have a condition of heaven or hell?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
If you tell me uh love God, love people, which the evangelical slogan, I say it's one of the slogans created by evangelicals because I studied and found the origin of it. You're taking what was written in the text that Jesus said, which was, and I have 40 some years of studying scripture, uh, love God and love your neighbor, not love people. Because when you say love
Mm.
people, you get an escape clause. Because that means I love people in general, you know what I'm saying? But I ain't gonna love everybody. But in this age of
Yeah.
technology, everybody's everybody's neighbor.
Yeah.
If you're on social media, everybody's. You go to Walmart, everywhere. We're so connected now versus 50 years ago. Like you said, you
Yeah.
remember the days of the landline. The landline, and before that, you had to call and get an operator to make the call. For those that really want to go back.
Yeah.
So we're instantly connecting to people now without realizing.
Yeah.
So don't tell me that part about love. I love people. Well, it actually meant love neighbor because your neighbor is everyone right now. Like the people catching this podcast, the reason I keep it so free flowing. I want them to know you as a person. I want them to know more about your spirituality. Now that you brought it up, I want them to know because a lot of these folks, the only way they're going to hear this is from the show. A large percentage of my audience, based off the numbers, are older males. Let's say older, 45 to 65 years old. Uh, it's- right behind that are females in a lower age bracket who will not be receptive to what you're talking about if you walk up to them and walk to them face to face,
Mm-hmm.
but because you've lived it. And a lot of these individuals now know things such as when it comes to buying a home. The agents don't know certain stuff. You've given a lot of nuggets out tonight.
Hmm.
Um,
I'm glad.
and you lived out the slogan tonight that or you, the entrepreneur searches for change. You didn't have to go back to Wake Tech to get the skill set you learned. You didn't have to dive into Reiki to get the peace you discovered. But to get the changes you wanted, you had to go searching for it. Uh, and now you're exploiting it as an opportunity on this podcast, the opportunity for everybody else. As he said, it's a good thing to be your own promoter. Um,
And now I'm choosing it. So that's the thing, right? Like, so we all
and
have
that's another
choices.
point. Yeah, because life
Yeah.
chooses us. Sometimes we don't choose it.
Right.
But
And
let's talk
every,
about that. Let's talk about you
yeah.
choosing it a little bit before we wrap the
Yeah.
show up.
So every day we make choices.
Hmm.
And like you said, something I really love that you said at the beginning of this podcast was about being human and
Hmm.
about grace for your humanity. Is
Hmm.
that some days I am so grounded and peaceful and compassionate for myself and others, and I feel very connected, right? And some days I'm just irritable
Hmm.
and everything feels difficult and blah da 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 da. And it's
Hmm.
like that's okay too. And I just
Hmm.
have to recognize and just hold space for all the parts of myself. And instead of saying that's a bad day, that's a good day, da da whatever, just it's all about being present with my humanity for and having grace for myself, grace for others, whatever comes up, and then choosing my choice is how I respond to myself and to others in whatever space that they're in that day.
Hmm.
That's my choice. So when I wake up, I choose most days. Some days some are tougher than others, but most
Hmm.
days I wake up and I lay in my bed and I have prayers that I've created for myself. I
Hmm.
didn't learn them from a book, but I
Hmm.
lay here and I ask for help and
Hmm.
I pray and I get overcome with this sense, this wash of energy that pulls up from the top of my head and from the
Hmm.
bottom of my feet and through me. And I feel it. And I mean, sometimes I'll cry. Sometimes I'll get knowings. I have a little leather bound notebook that I keep with me to write them in there. And it's just so powerful. And that's how I choose to start my day. And then when I'm out and about during my day, when something comes up that's frustrating, something human comes up,
Hmm.
as it does, I'll do my very best to come back to that grounded, peaceful moment of connection from the beginning of my day. And the days that don't go that way, I'm just like, well, that was the day, but that was another type of day. But at least I made that choice, right? I have a choice on how I react, how I
Hmm.
respond. So,
And
yeah.
so that's sort of like part of, in my case, as I continue to follow different people online and gather information myself. Uh, for me now, it's a big deal to speak in terms of connecting with my ancestors, which is part of my
Mm,
culture, to connect with the energy of my ancestors. Now, I know in my bloodline, there's some that I've talked about one in particular I talked about a lot of episodes in this, a lot to a lot of my guests. Uh, there's a lot of negative energy connected to this individual. However, today though at work, I found myself talking about the positive energy connected to this individual.
Oh.
In the sense of it was the day yesterday was crazy. Uh, of how growing up with a cast iron wood stove and we put the wood in the stove and there wasn't no turn no switch and people the guy I can remember the old school and you had to get it that's what we had in a small town in the country. I mean, then before we got a propane stove, we had a wood stove and she made the best of food and you never went lacking and then all of a sudden we had modernized and got a gas stove and we're like living pretty good, but that kind of stuff. So, but on the other side of it, listening to the voices of speaking in terms of ancestors, those something that so, I know I was denied and talked against in church.
Mm.
Basically, you don't talk to you talk to Jesus. You don't talk to the voices of your
Oh.
ancestors. But listen to call out on your ancestors. They came before you. If you really believe in they're in heaven or wherever you want to believe they're at, they're there. Feel their energy. I had one spiritual guide one time. I was going through something and I was sitting in the car and talking to this person on the phone. She identifies herself as a spiritual person in that sense. One of the first ones I encountered. I don't know what she practiced in spirituality. I couldn't tell you right now. Never met the lady. Met her through Facebook, but we connected. I have one of our poems that I share now that talks about the universal connectivity. And she over the phone said, "Your mother's presence is there with you."
Oh.
And I'm like, "Huh?" And then I felt the back of my neck, and it's like the calmness came. And now I know what it was. I'm talking to my ancestors, those who went before me.
Yeah.
So when you bring that all in, that's the area I struggle with, even now 'cause it's new to my journey, speaking it out, not hiding in a closet, and sharing with others. I can identify myself. When you ask me if I'm a Christian, I was give you the answer. Yeah, I am, but don't take what I said like for based on what you know. Take it in the You want to really want me to talking, get me talking like I'm doing now. That I don't buy into this. I don't buy. I don't believe in the political structure that created Christianity of
Mm.
ancient Rome. Christianity was free, spirited, and loving, and all the things you're talking about. And so while we're told the narrative, I'm gonna say it here now because I'm gonna say it as often as I can, as I break
Mhm.
that thing off my own back. Uh, that people say Jesus died for our sins, and I was like, no, I don't believe that anymore. He was executed as an
Mhm.
enemy of the state
Yeah.
because he was teaching a message that was contrary to the Rome. And that message survived for 200 years for 400 years until Constantine took it over and gave us what we know now. But in a nutshell, so yeah, I believe in the spirituality of the Jesus person. I believe in his start. I believe they've proven he existed, but the stuff that y'all are practicing is far from what he taught. And so in that sense, even then he was connecting to spirituality. If you really want to get down to it. Uh, and if you look around us, every person that's bought something similar to what you're talking with is called Reiki or Christianity in the sense of true love and peace, not the stuff we see in the buildings. Uh, they've been executed by the government from the beginning of time. You can't come preaching something, you can't come teaching and sharing something that's going to challenge the powers that be. I know this show wasn't about that. It's supposed to be her story, her words, but I'm throwing it in there. Your business life, you may meet some people that are great, want to do business with you until they find out they can't really rock your world and shake your piece up. You're gonna be we're gonna do business. We're gonna do business on these terms.
Yep.
Uh, they can't hoodwink you into construction and property management because you know what this is versus that. Uh,
Mhm. And I can feel it. Let me tell you,
and
there's
you,
a
and you can, that's a good thing. Bring that back
yeah.
home about the feeling of the energy, and we'll wrap this up.
Yeah. There's a discernment that occurs with this
Hmm.
divine connection with this universal energy that is so powerful, and it allows me to be centered with this connection and knowing that I am protected, I am guided, I am loved, and I don't need this person's approval. I don't need them to say yes to me, and I can just calmly state what's happening and what's needed, and then it is up to them. The outcome is not up to me. If you decide to
Yeah.
turn around and walk away, I trust that that is the higher universal energy's guidance, that is what was supposed to happen.
Mhm. Well, everyone, this has been another episode of Life is About More Than Living, a podcast. Um, Her Story, Her Words, Anna Bloodworth, an Echo success story. Link to Echo is there. Please, in her bio, please click that link more than anything else. You may know someone in the Raleigh Durham area that could benefit from the guidance, the assistance that this organization provides you. It's helped her journey to see so much, but also, um, do you want your email shared?
Yeah.
Okay, because I meant to ask that. So I will make sure her email is shared in the final text of the show. Uh, Anna Acorn-oak.com. And yes, I have vetted the website. It's legitimate. It's nothing come up. And you can see her there and everything on oak.com. And reach out to her. Great person to work with, I believe.
Thank
Heck,
you.
my wife and I might be reaching out to her at some point for some things. Who knows? Uh, but other than that, Anna, if you think one word that you can share with my audience, and we're out of here. This is my closing remarks. We're out of here, other than what she has to say. And I'll take you off
Um,
camera.
yeah, keep going on. Don't give up. Believe in yourself. Stay true.
Thank you. I will see you back on camera about in a little short while. This has been another episode of Life is About More Than Living a Podcast. Thank you for your support. Please become a subscriber wherever you listen to podcasts at Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, especially Spotify. I need subscribers on Spotify, y'all. Go to Spotify, the website, the app, subscribe there. Um, and let's do what we do and be safe. Have an amazing week. And if you have an amazing story, just reach out to me and see if we can I make space for you to come in the show and tell your story. Out of here, y'all.